Ladies and gents, welcome back to the channel. I am Sefkin FM, and today we are looking at a tactic called the Magic Cagliari. It is from someone called Tisba86, I believe. Tisba86, yeah. Now, there is some information on the discussion boards that I got this from. It is a lot in French, so you might need a translator, or if you speak French, hey, kudos to you. But I don't, so it looks like they did very well with Brentford winning the EFL Cup. They brought Brentford into Champions League spots in second place, second behind Liverpool. So Brentford got 72 points. We'll see what happens with our three teams of Tottenham, Wolves, and Newcastle. But it looks like a standard 4-3-3, as you could see, a fairly standard 4-3-3. You do have a goalkeeper in defend, wing backs on the left and right in support, ball-playing defenders in the left and the right, deep-lying playmaker in defend, a Mazzala in support on the left, a box-to-box in support on the right, inverted winger on the left in attack, and a winger on the right in attack, and an advanced forward, as we always see, up front in attack. It is a balanced mentality in possession. Attacking width is fairly wide. Overlap on the left and right. Focus play down the middle, however. Play out of defense. I think that's the first time we've seen play through the middle. But passing directness is shorter. Tempo is higher. Mixed crosses, work the ball in the box, and be more expressive. In transition, counter press, counter, distribute to the center backs and the full backs, and take short kicks. And out of possession, a high press line of engagement, a higher defensive line, trigger press much more often, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and stay on feet. So, how did it do with our three teams? Well, we didn't even get to 72 points, sadly. But Tottenham in fourth place with 68 points, Newcastle in sixth with 65, so only a game in there, but Wolves in 11th with 55. I have to say, this is probably the most bang-on average tactic results that I have seen. Now remember, I am simming straight through. I'm not taking control of anything. I'm not hitting continue each day. The assistant coaches and all the staff are doing all the work, from transfers down to training, down to match day squads and all that. The only thing that I have them doing is keeping the tactic as is. And this is kind of what we get. Schedule-wise for Tottenham, I mean, starting out not too bad, but then you get into some real spotty areas. You are losing a fair bit in the first half of the season. You're out of the EFL Cup third round, 0-0 in penalties with Crystal Palace. And then FA Cup fourth round, you're out against West Ham. You continue on in the Europa League, or down in the Europa League. And then you are knocked out, 0-4 against Real Madrid. Newcastle actually have a much better first half of the season. You are out in the EFL Cup third round against Ipswich Town, though. Why Ipswich Town? But you continue on. FA Cup you're going through, up to the semifinals and into the final, where you actually win against Liverpool. You lose out the first. Nope, you actually won the first match of the season. That's the second time I think we've seen that. But win, I guess, on penalties. FA Cup final against Liverpool. You've got a trophy, even though your season was pretty average. You do lose a lot towards the end, so maybe that's more why it's average. You have a nice run of form here, though. Wolves' schedule looks absolutely awful in the first month of the season. You do have a lot of draws again, but a fantastic October. You're continuing on in everything. Second half of the season, it gets a lot spottier after a nice December. But you got EFL Cup quarterfinals out against Liverpool, 0-0 in penalties. And then FA Cup fifth round, you're out against Fulham. Transfers, you're picking up some money here. You sold off Tanganga to Borussia Dortmund, Muir to Luton Town, but Oliver Skip to West Ham brings in $29.5 million. With all that money, you do bring in Ismail Benacer from Milan for $43 million and Shakir from Trabzonspor, $13.75. So, I mean, you got some big coming in, but it sadly didn't help you all that much in the second half of the season. Newcastle not having that income, unfortunately. However, they do bring in Thiago Almada, Kennedy, and Santos, and Sousa from Arsenal. So they have spent some more money. It's nice to see that even though they haven't really sold anyone, I mean, $450 for Mark Gillespie, they are bringing in some players. They may not be the biggest names. However, they are spending, I mean, that's about 55 million right there. Ruben Neves out for Wolves to Liverpool for $55 million. And you can see Tormena, Medeiros, and Pereira coming in. So they are spending some money. But like Liverpool, in the last couple of years, they are being very stingy with the bucks. Squad-wise for Newcastle, again, Lloris is having issues with only 30 appearances this season. But 49 plus 3 for Bentancur, Son with 44 plus 2, and Romero with 43 plus 5. Goal-wise, Harry Kane with only 19. That is probably one of the lowest tallies we've seen from him. When I'm assuming he's not injured, he's still playing a bit. 16 for Son, 9 for Despotov and Richarlison. Assist-wise, 14 for Son and 13 for Despotov. So, I mean, they're just not getting as much return from the players they should be. But average rating, they got a lot in the green, just not high green. So, Despotov with 713, Basuma with 711, Lloris with 710. Newcastle's Trippier with 44 appearances, Almiron with 42 plus 2, and Joelinton for 41 plus 4. Goal-wise, there you go. Isaac with 24. Not a bad tally for him. Sven Botman with 16 and 9 for Wilson. Assist-wise, Trippier with 19. St. Maximin and Willock with 11 apiece. Joelinton coming in at 10, so not too bad. There you go. Alexander Isaac with 729. Not a bad rating. I definitely would like to see him a little higher. 719 for Willock and Joelinton for 717. As is Botman. And then 45 appearances for Nunez and Jose Sa. 42 plus 1 for Sarabia. Goal-wise, Cunha getting back up there on goals with 20. Sarabia with 9. And then Kilman with 9. So really not doing all that well there. Sarabia with 15 assists, which is fantastic. Aït-Nouri with 8. And then Neto with 7. And then average rating, 716 for Nunez. Aït-Nouri with 712. And Traoré with 710. He's just not picking it up, though, in this tactic, unfortunately. Some tactics we see, he's an absolute monster. This time around, he's kind of on the average side. Data hub-wise, this seems to be a much better all-around tactic instead of where in a lot of tactics you'll see the goals per game, the non-penalty expected goals, and the shots are through the roof and everything else is kind of around the average. Here, this is a much better dribbling tactic. You got fouls attempted or against per game, goals. You got some numbers that are above Premier League average and some dribbles well above Premier League average. But you got a couple that are on it, but it's still more of a roundabout attacking side than usually what you see in a lot of the tactics we've seen. Defending, very good defensively. You can see fouls made per game is apparently a great tactic, or apparently a great metric to use. But interceptions per game is fantastic. Tackles and clearances, nowhere near even the Premier League average, so that's kind of sad to see. But you got some better numbers than what we usually see. Newcastle having the same defensive side, but look at the attacking. I mean, non-penalty expected goals is much higher. Shots per game is much higher. It looks like almost leading the league. Dribbles per game looks like it's leading the league. Everything else, again, roundabout. So much better than what we usually see. Interesting to see that Newcastle is only in 6th. And same with Wolves. I mean, very good defensively. You can see their numbers are pretty much the same as we've seen in the other two. Even better in attack. You definitely have, at least you have no numbers below the Premier League average. So I guess that's something. Now, what's funny is I've looked at the Premier League stats and they're not showing what I see in the data hub. So most goals definitely there. 72, 70, and 66 for all three teams. Fantastic to see considering Manchester United is only one above Tottenham. Liverpool just blew everyone else out of the water. Fewest shots against, nobody. Most possession, nobody. Most dribbles made are those three teams. There you go. That's what I see in the data hub. Fewest conceded with Tottenham. When shutouts, nobody. Tackles, one, nobody. Very good defensively, but you're not seeing the defensive numbers here for some reason. Best pass completion is Tottenham. Most shots for is Newcastle with 723, so we did see that in the data hub. Wolves and Tottenham up there as well, and most points per game as you would expect. Overview-wise, Salah brings home the 22, Cunha with 20, Isaac with 19, so it just seems to be a low set of numbers this time around for everyone involved. Sarabi with 13 assists, Trippier, Son, and Willock also up there with 11 and 12. Most player of the match awards, Son and Isaac in there. Best pass completion, nobody. Dribbles made, St. Maximin with 170, and Aït-Nouri and Traoré also in the mix. But fewest conceded. Lloris is there, even though he didn't play very much. Shutouts, nobody though. Tackles, one, nobody. The defensive side, again, not there, even though it says very well done in the attack in the defensive side. But most key passes, Trippier with 161, Sarabia up there as usual. That's kind of our standard duo right up there. And most shots, a fair number of people. Cunha with 113, Isaac with 103. Not too bad. So overall, I mean, again, since I simmed this tactic, you can do a lot better with this tactic using your own staff, your own transfers in, your own shouts during matches and training and all that. But this one just didn't work out the way that I would hoped. But again, simming it tends to have that kind of average effect on a lot of these teams. But that is it for me, Stefan FM for the Football Manager blog channel, saying thank you as always for watching. Take care and enjoy.